Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here. For today's video, I've got something special. While I was in Tokyo back in April, I was lucky enough to snag an interview with Inti Creates at their HQ. These are the guys that have had a hand in developing games like Mega Man Zero, Mega Man ZX, Mega Man 9, Mega Man 10, Gunvolt, Mighty No. 9, and assisting in games like Shantae Half Genie Hero and Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. After meeting up with their international coordinator, Matt Papa, we talked about some of their general work as well as their take on localization issues. So please enjoy, and thanks for watching, everyone.
Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here, and I've got a special treat for everyone. I got my boy here, Matt, working with Inti Creates, makers of Mega Man ZX, Gunvolt, of course.
Guilty. Guilty as charged, my friend.
And then one of my personal favorites, Mighty Gunvolt. I really do like that game.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear it.
So he's given us a little bit of time to answer a couple of questions. I just threw a couple together, maybe see if it's what the majority would want to hear, but we'll give it a shot.
Cool. Sounds good.
So, question one: what is it like? Why do you think Inti Creates decided to localize Gunvolt for the U.S. audience?
Well, I mean, this is our very first game and we've been around for almost 19 years now, but this is the very first game that we have both developed in-house and published in-house. So as a first-time publisher, we thought it would, why would you not want to maximize the exposure for your game?
Sure.
So, in my humble opinion, I think it's a no-brainer to, get your game in as many hands as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, we developed it for the 3DS, and, 3DS is all around the world, and we want to have Gunvolt all around the world, too. So, we worked with the team at 8.4 to localize the game. They did a great job, and got in the hands of English speakers everywhere.
Yeah, it was also really cool that we could get the 3DS themes.
Yes, I was very happy about that. Nintendo was very receptive to it, and as you can see, because we have a couple in the shop now. So, and it's especially as an indie studio. We're not Mario or Kirby or but it's really nice to be in the same. On the same stage,
sure.
As big iconic characters like that. You go through the list like, oh, there's a Mario theme, a Kirby theme, Gunvolt, whoa! Even as like I go through it, I'm just like, hey, yeah, that's cool.
Well, it's really striking to.
See what you did there.
No pun intended. Okay, so Gunvolt is obviously really wrapped around a lot of Japanese culture. I mean, I did an entire video that talks about that.
You did,
sort of. So, what do you think some of the biggest challenges of localizing something like
that? Well, I think it depends on how culturally deep it is.
Mm-hmm. They're fine.
It's a bad habit. I mean, there's things that any person from the U.S. would understand. Like, everyone knows what a samurai is or what a ninja is, stuff like that. But, when you get into more, like, deep cultural references, which this game does borrow from, you need to present it in a way that people will understand it. And if it can't get this, like, exact, literal, direct translation effect, give it something that's similar. Because the most important thing, I think, is not just having the exact same thing, but giving the same feeling. Having the feeling translate over the language, I think, is more important than just the exact text.
Sure.
So I think, as long as you can incorporate that and give players the same type of feeling when they're going through, no matter what language they speak, then I think that's the most important.
All right, this one's going to be an interesting question because this is what I actually covered in my very first episode.
I like interesting questions.
So, I personally think Galgun is a really cool game. Now, to those of you at home that don't know what it is, and unfortunately I had to take that video down, Galgun is basically a rail shooter where you kind of hit girls with tranquilizer darts because they're chasing after you because they fell in love with you.
Yeah, so the story behind Galgun is you're, rando high school guy down on his luck, and a angel, a Cupid type angel, she decides to go and help you out a little bit. So what they do is they shoot you with their little love gun thing, and then you're feeling really good and you can do your thing. But she screws up and shoots you with a whole bunch of, oh my god, what's happening? And all of a sudden you are like the most irresistible human to ever exist, and they're just flying at you. They cannot help themselves.
It's really kind of funny because that sounds kind of, well, not stereotypical, but it sounds like a trope But these girls, they launch like their words of love and such at you.
Yeah,
and then
like
you have to
it's
knock
not like poison breath or bullets, or it's like,
I love
go
you.
out with me. I
It just
love
spirals
you.
at you. Well, I can kind of understand why it hasn't seen a U.S. release because of the whole age thing. And I'm going to be doing a video about why that's actually legit. Well, not that it's wrong, but culturally, contextually speaking, it's fine. It completely makes sense. But do you think that it could ever see a U.S. release?
I mean, personally, I am always of the belief that anything's possible, and if there's a will, there's a way. But that's just coming from me.
Sure.
With that said, localizing a game or bringing a game to another audience, there's a lot that goes into that process. It's not just okay, let's do it, and there it will be. No, it's not quite that simple. So, will it ever see a U.S. release? I can't say one way or the other. But if there's a legitimate demand for this sort of thing, we do always take these things into consideration. We do listen. So.
And that is what we all actually do appreciate. That for one, you guys took the time to let this happen.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
The fact that, I could do a Gunvolt video and not have Inti Creates all over me with copyright strikes, and all that stuff.
Yeah. We would not be that kind of striker.
Too many puns up in here.
Yeah, it's all good.
But, I don't know. I think, and we talked about this briefly, if you minimized or took out, like, Tokidoki mode, and then just had it be more rail shooter-y. Maybe. I mean, it's so crazy.
That would not be my call to make, but
Sure.
yeah, I mean, who knows?
You never know, and you never know. This may get a lot of notoriety, and people may demand it. I'm gonna be streaming that game, and possibly Galgun 2 when I get the chance. So be on the watch out for that. So let's see. It's real, and then like I said prior, it's really cool that Inti Creates and even like Concept been very, very receptive and really open to just the foreign audience, especially when it comes to YouTube.
Sure.
So, what suggestions would you have for other Japanese developers who are either new and starting out, or a medium-sized company like this, or even a large-sized company like, I don't know, maybe Nintendo or something, when it comes to interacting with internet personalities?
Well, I mean, every company has their own way of doing things.
Sure.
I mean, we may do things different from company B, who does things different from company C. I mean, that's just how any industry works. But speaking for us, we have absolutely no issue if people want to stream our games, if people want to make Let's Plays of our games, anything of that nature. We as Inti Creates have no issue with that because, in a way, you're helping us out. You are, you as a YouTuber with, thousands upon thousands of people who subscribe to your channel, and they say, oh, look, there's this Azure Striker Gunvolt game. I wonder what that's about. You're, in a way, helping us.
It's what we intend to do.
Yeah, and, as somebody whose job it is to reach out to an entire multi-continental audience, I appreciate it that somebody's going out of their way. They like our game so much that they're going out of their way to, capture it and make videos and talk about it. And, I mean, that's exposure in its purest form.
Yeah.
And we, as Inti Creates, we have no problem with people doing something like that. And, as a matter of connecting with the Western audience, I mean, I guess if you're a Japanese company, I guess first you have to have the language to do that.
Sure. or someone like you to assist them.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have somebody who can, linguistically connect.
Right.
If you don't speak English, if nobody at your company speaks English, it may be hard to connect. So, having a multicultural presence in your company is always a good thing, no matter what you're doing.
Right.
And, that's the same for games, too. And I think that understanding it can do anything, it would be nothing but good. No harm can come of that.
And I'm just wondering, do you think should Japanese developers and will Japanese developers, like especially after the wild success that Inafune saw with Kickstarter, do you think that do you think the other developers will finally be like, maybe there's something to this?
Well, I think in a lot of cases what happens is, Kickstarter is very new. here. And a lot of people don't use it, a lot of people don't understand it. And what I think would be the best selling point for something like, promoting your game with Kickstarter and, creating your game because of a Kickstarter success. Somebody needs to see a success story. Somebody needs to see, hey, these people, they set their goal, they met their goal, in the case of number 9, vastly exceeded their goal, which thank you all for that, by the way. As developers of this game, it really means, every day, we appreciate everything those of you who backed the game have done. But with that aside, I think, like I said, I think they need to see a success story. And once Mighty Number 9 is, finished out for everybody to play, any Japanese developer, or any developer for that matter, can say, hey, look, these guys did it. And why can't we?
And that's why Inafune is my hero, because he really took that big risk.
Yeah, he did. And, he had his vision, he had his goal, and, he's worked super hard in this industry for a long time. So when someone like him says, I want to do this, people believe that he can get it done. I believe he can get it done. We're doing it.
Sure. So, going back to Gunvolt, we'd already established that it's got very Japanese roots. Now, there's a lot of people out there that would say to themselves, well, why was there a cultural translation instead of a literal translation where all of that Japanese-ness was kept in context? Like, do you think that it actually helped with the selling the game to bring it down sort of to that kind of level, or do you think it would have sold just as good, if not better, if the Japanese-ness was retained?
I mean, that's a really good question. I don't know if I'd necessarily call it bringing it down to
that was
a certain level.
It's
okay, it's okay. But, there will always be somebody who wants something else.
Sure.
If you do it one way, there will always be somebody who says, well, you should have done it this way. That's just life. But, we did what we felt was best. We had, 8-4, they do fantastic work, and, they've worked on many games before this, they'll work on many more after. And we had complete faith that they would do a good job creating what they envision would be good dialogue for this game, and I think they did a fantastic job. But, there will always be fans who would rather have the Japanese version, directly, and there will be fans who like what we've done better. Sure. So, I guess for anything, you just kind of have to go with what you think is best, and hope for the best.
It really blew my mind when that cat video reference at like the 5th or 6th boss.
And I can tell you that those are not in the Japanese version.
Oh, I know. But I'm just like, did you just make a reference to Keyboard Cat?
Yeah, and I think, and for me, that gives you a way to connect to a different audience. The Japanese version, Merrick doesn't make a cat video reference or a Realms of Robocraft reference.
Right.
Nobody jock-blocked Viper. Those are all things that came out of the English localizations that I thought were fantastic. So, in a way, like I said, it gives you... The words are different, but I think the feeling is the same. Merrick's a super lazy guy who can't be bothered to lift a finger. Viper's a hot and passionate guy who wants what he wants, knows what he wants, and will kick your butt to get it. That's the same in both.
Sure.
You're not losing that in either way. And I think as long as you stay true to who the characters are, as long as you can, like I said before, as long as you can convey that feeling in a way that will resonate well with their audience, I think that's the best one.
Yeah. It's keeping that original feel to the character.
Yeah. The characters have not changed a bit. I assure you.
All right, just a few more left.
Sure.
Something that's really, really cool is that Inti Creates and even Concept, all these games that y'all make, they're so action focused, platforming and shooting. It's not super drawn out in terms of. Well, I mean, Jewel and Gunvolt, they had a relationship,
sure.
and that made it into the game.
Sure.
But it was a very small thing that didn't detach from the action. So. Two things, really. So, do you think that it's important to have that kind of attitude when making a game? And two, is it important to have that attitude plus having the mentality going into developing a game of not just Japanese will play this, but people all over the world will play this?
Yeah, I mean, it's 2015. So, I mean, in this day, in the days of the NES, you could develop for one audience and not have to really think about another audience. Sure. That's, that happened a lot. Think of how many, like, silly localizations we saw in the U.S. from, like, old NES games and things like that.
Yeah.
But, it's a global market now. It's a global industry now. So, but I think, to answer part of it, I think, we as Inti Creates, our bread and butter, our specialty is 2D action platforming games. That's what we do. That's what we love. That's what we are doing now. That's what we did in the past. That's what we will continue to do. Mm-hmm. And there's back in the day, you only could do just core action. You didn't have time. You didn't have room for story.
Right.
Now you can do a lot more. So you can keep that core element of action and intensity, and you can add more to it now. Mm-hmm. You can add voiceovers. You can add, relationships with characters that you can explore, when you're taking a break from the action.
Right.
You can add all that stuff now. And I think there's just so many more things you can do besides that core element of action that's just awesome. Mm-hmm. And, as for the way we do things, we're a Japanese company. So we're going to make Japanese-style games. And I think that's what people expect from us. That's what they want from us.
Yeah, really quick, I remember when Inafune first started talking about Mighty No. 9, like the big focus was a Japanese action platform. That was the emphasis.
Absolutely.
You wanted that balls to the wall kind of hard platforming going on. And for those of you that haven't played the beta yet, it is pretty tough. There's a lot of one-hit kill pits and spikes and stuff.
Yes. So, indeed there are.
Sorry, Dan, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's okay. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, that's what we do. We make Japanese 2D action platforming games. And that's what people have come to expect from us. That's what they've come to know for us, and that's what we will continue to give. And, if we can take that element, what we're good at, what we know, what we kick butt at, and make it so that people around the world can enjoy that experience in a language they understand, perfect for me.
Yeah. Do you think that granted, Inti Creates, from what I've seen, Gunvolt had a really good reception. The association with Concept and Mighty No. 9, that's obviously going to get some attention. Do you think that in time, if the company grew enough, do you think that there would be a branch office in the U.S. or anywhere abroad?
It's certainly possible. We would love to get this big enough to where, hey, you're doing so well, you need this sort of thing.
Yeah.
That'd be great, But yeah, is that possible? Sure. I would never rule out such a possibility. You mentioned, Concept and Mighty No. 9 gives them double some extra attention. We work very closely with them. They're, Inafune and our president Takuya Aizu, they've worked together for a very long time.
Yeah.
They've worked together since we made Mega Man 01. So, we have a very good dynamic. And, we can work with each other very seamlessly and smoothly.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm honored that we can work so closely with a company like Concept.
Yeah, and that was actually my last question.
Okay,
Can we expect more collaborative game efforts?
I mean, you shouldn't be surprised if there are.
Right.
Yeah, you definitely should not be surprised if there are, for sure.
All right, well, I think that's all the questions I've got. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, man.
And if you guys have any questions or comments, be sure to leave a comment in the comment section. I may be able to relay them back to Matt. And we'll see how that goes.
You can always follow us on our Twitter at Gunvolt Game, on Facebook at Inti Creates. So we're always a tweet or a Facebook post away.
And I got sweet swag.
Oh, yes, we do. Yeah, if you like the Gunvolt shirt, we actually manufactured these through a company called Level Up Studios. They ship all around the world, so if you want to get yourself some Gunvolt swag no matter where you live, in good hands.
And they actually produce a couple of shirts for me as well, so
they make good stuff for good people.
All right, everyone, but until next time, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.
Inti Creates pretty rad, dude.
Yeah, man.
It's totally awesome.